Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Amp Energy. Amp up.
Pit stops under caution. Here's Matt.
Carl Edwards points the car just like the last stop for easy exit. He said the car way too loose to run the bottom. Small air pressure change in the right rear for the 99. Steve.
Matt, Jeff Gordon concerned about a vibration. He also is thinking they're working the right front tire too hard. Let's go to Krista.
It's a 4-tire change for Tony Stewart. He said the only thing he's missing just the ability to suck up a little better. Meanwhile, up front, Kyle Busch, he said his car's very good, just a little tight, but no adjustments. He said his tires feel good even on the long run.
And a big miscue for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He is pitted just past the start-finish line. It appears he could not get into his pit and will have to go around and come back in for service.
And he will have to come back in. And there you see he peels off in the 3rd position. Coming down the pit road, following Kyle Busch in the 18 car. Now he should be about 10 pits away right there. And there you see, he knew immediately. And I can't help but think to Jeff Hammond's keys to this race. Don't beat yourself, especially on pit road.
You know, I don't understand this. He's had trouble in the pits in the qualifying race, had trouble in the pits today. I'm not sure what's going on.
Let's go downstairs for an AT&T race break.
Well, Jeff, you said don't beat yourself, talking about some of the points, the keys going into this race, and that was one of those cases.
That's one of those cases. Just you can't win a Daytona 500 if you start making those kind of mistakes, and that's one that could come back to haunt him.
How about the speed of this race so far? What have you noticed?
Up until this caution flag right here, we were on a record pace, 161 miles an hour average laps. I mean, they were really getting up there, and again, you don't normally see that. I think with the last 4 races have been nowhere near as close as this.
Is weather a part of that?
I think so. I think a lot of these guys realize that we might be fighting with some weather, so they want to keep their nose clean and just try to get out there and put some laps down. And remember, the Daytona 500 the previous 2 years has been settled on the last lap, not at the halfway point.
All right, let's take a look at Junior as he goes into the stall here.
Yeah, he gets on and hits his mark that time. But again, this team of his right now know that they're going to wind up at the back of the pack, Chris. And this is what you don't want. A little bit of a problem right there on the right rear. But the main thing is he's got to fight his way through the pack, and he don't need to be doing that.
Let's check in with Dick Bergman.
Well, he just plain missed his pit. Simple as that. And he's going to be in the back, as you said. They've also got some problems with the car. The engine is running a bit hot. They're at 230 degrees and climbing just a little bit. They did adjust the chassis to try to take a push out of it. Chris?
All right, Dick, let's show you what brought the caution out moments ago.
Travis Bottle on the high side right there. He comes in, and all of a sudden you'll see the car, just a little bit of a puff of smoke, and you see the car almost drop down a little bit on the right front, right there, and all of a sudden up into the outside safer barrier he goes. Another angle, different place here. You see again, hard licking that outside safer barrier, but again, you know, that's the beautiful thing about having that safer barrier there. It could have been a lot worse if it hadn't been for those safer barriers.
Amazing he could even drive it after that to at least get it through the track. Each week, voice your opinion on who you think should win the AT&T Fastest and Most Valuable Pit Crew of the Year award from your AT&T phone. Text the car number of the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by AT&T, your world delivered. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By the Home Depot, proud sponsor of Joey Logano and the number 20 team. And by Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Getting ready for a restart in front of a packed house at Daytona International Speedway. Terry Labonte got the free pass. He was the first car 1 lap down. Sam Hornick led a lap under caution. And with Tony Stewart out front of Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon, we're back under green.
And we have 39 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who had that miscue on that pit stop right there, missed his pit box. He restarts back in 35th position. Give a call out to that car running 5th right there. A.J. Allmendinger in that 44 car finished 5th in the Budweiser shootout Saturday night a week ago. Wasn't even sure if he was going to have a ride a couple of months ago, and here he is running in the top 5. And I think this is actually his very first Daytona 500 start.
It is, Larry. That car is painted just like the Dodge Magnum that Kyle Petty drove in his very first professional race, the ARCA 200 here in 1979, which Kyle won.
Boy, I tell you what, speaking of Kyle Busch just cut his car to the bottom and is going to drive right up alongside of Tony Stewart. And he's doing it without any help. I mean, that's what I noticed about his car. He can run pretty fast without a lot of help.
Steve Burns is in Jeff Gordon's pit.
Well, Mike, Jeff Gordon expressed some concern about wearing out his right front tire. I asked the car chief, Jason Burdett, if he shared that concern. He said, take a look at the tire yourself. This is the right front off Jeff Gordon's car, and you can see down to the cords right there, a little bit further down. So that's what's happening here on pit road.
Now, when I look at that tire, that is sort of a camber issue. That's on the inside of the tire where the tire's leaned in to make the car turn better. You ride on that very long and you're going to be in trouble.
But the concern there, that was a 24-lap green flag run, and that's still about 18 to 20 laps shy of what we know these guys can run on fuel.
And you can't change that camber without pulling the car out of the race, going behind the wall to make that adjustment. Jamie McMurray, number 26 on the outside, has pulled that outside lane along, and he got almost right up to Jeff Gordon at second place. Now he has a little help, if you want to call it that, from Denny Hamlin.
Kind of my dark horse pick of the race, if you want to call him that. Jamie McMurray. He's had a great speed weeks. Even though he's in a backup car, he likes that car better than he did the car he started the weekend with.
And, you know, even though Larry Carter did a great job with Jamie McMurray the last couple of years, I just think Donnie Wingo and Jamie McMurray, Donnie that's over there now, they just really complement each other.
I believe you're right. Good chemistry.
Jeff Gordon drops back to the bottom. Here comes Hamlin up the middle in the number 11.
Now, that camber thing we'll get back to in just a second. You could help that with a little air pressure, I believe. You could get that car off of the inside of that tire if you put a little more air in that right front, possibly. But then it won't turn.
Right.
That's what you fight.
Because normally when you hurt that tire is when you first put it on the car down on lower air pressure.
Hamlin pulls up behind his ex-teammate Tony Stewart as Kyle Busch goes up to the outside. And here are your Toyota top performers.
Kyle Busch will slide up in front of a car in a heartbeat.
But it normally fits. It's normally just exactly the right size. I don't know how he does it.
Well, if he was sliding up in front of you, would you let it fit?
I'd be sure he got in.
Right.
You know, a guy that we had talked about that really made a move from the back to the front early in the race, Kevin Harvick in that 29 car in a backup car, the car he won the Budweiser shootout. Started back in 38th. He has made his way to the top 10 early in the race, but now Matt, he has fallen all the way back to almost the last car on the lead lap.
Larry, Matt, going in, they felt like the shootout car would handle so much better, it would be slower. And the problem is, it really is slower. He says the car is bogging down in the corners. They made a track bar adjustment earlier to try to free it up. Now he says after pitting twice into the last caution for a spring rubber change, he says the car just will not keep up. He has to have someone pushing him to stay in the draft, and he's definitely lost that lead pack.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a little bit of trouble right now, but in an amazing 64 laps into this 200-lap race, and we've basically got about 33 cars running within 3 seconds of each other.
Pretty much looks like we just started.
Get in that hole.
He's learned to look over his shoulder.
Jeff Gordon trying to lead for the first time today. Comes around the outside of Tony Stewart. But as they get to the line, Stewart forges back in front.
But I got to tell you something, boys. If that 24 is lurking near the front like that, that's not a good sign for everybody else.
Got a pretty good push from Kyle Busch in that 18 going off into turn one.
Jeff Gordon knows how to win Daytona. He knows how to win the big races.
We've talked so much about that 14 car and Tony Stewart. We do need to make note that that's Hendrick engines and Hendrick cars that they're supplied with from Hendrick Motorsports.
Yeah, that alliance is what made Tony's deal really work well, I think. Rick Hendrick being involved in the equipment they have, it's all going to work out just fine. Thank you.
Tony Stewart continues to lead the Daytona 500, 66 laps complete.
This one's looking good. Stick around for more NASCAR on Fox.